TikTok wants me to make longer videos, so let's talk about school vouchers. There are actually 3 types of vouchers, which we can talk about in a separate video. But essentially, vouchers allow funds that have been set aside for a child's education to be used towards private school. I'm going to assume best intent here because we're just 2 strangers on the internet. I don't know your school choice story. I've been making content about school choice on the internet for the better part of 2 years though. Typically with comments like these, there's a deeper implication. And so I'm going to assume, they'll let me know if I'm wrong, that funds are being siphoned away from public schools when they should be used to be educating students, well, public school students. While I have very limited thoughts on how vouchers are funded, I do have 3 questions. The first is, are we looking at the impact of school voucher funds on public school districts? And in reality, private school choice programs affect public school districts the same way that public school district funds are affected when a student leaves because they move away. And if you're like, okay lady, a handful of students moving away from a school district is not the same thing as thousands of students using school vouchers. You're right. Typically, school voucher programs receive less funding per pupil than public school students. And if you're like, okay, what about students who are left behind? I would argue that that's not fair to those students. Public schools are a great fit for a lot of families. In fact, public school choice is still the most common form of choice. Because a student's family chooses to exercise a different type of choice doesn't mean that the students are left behind in the public school. And if you're like, okay, school vouchers still take a significant portion of funds away from public schools, I would ask if we're looking at public school funding holistically. What else is taking away from public funds that should be used on students? And that really brings me to my last point. Really the point of this page existing and why I get on the internet every day and talk about school choice. What would happen if we expanded our thinking beyond private school choice? Private school choice is not the only choice for families. And if vouchers don't align with your values as a family, don't use them. Open enrollment, public charter, public magnet, they're all tuition-free public options. Families can also engage in homeschooling and online learning. But by only focusing on this one part of choice, we're also ignoring the fact that parents are choosing different options. Parents want to send their children to different types of schools. And my job is not to tell them what's right. My job is to make sure that they have the most unbiased and comprehensive information to make the best choice for their family. For some families, that might be private school choice. For other families, that might be public. For even more families, that might be homeschooling. But whenever we talk about choice, we need to have a broader conversation outside of private school choice because there's so many other options.